What would you do if you discovered that the man you built your entire life around had been building a completely different life with someone else? Not an affair, not a fling, a wife, children, a home, a whole other family, living just 40 minutes away from yours. That is exactly what happened to me. And after 14 years of marriage, nothing could have prepared me for what I found. My name is Sandra. I'm from a small suburb outside of Columbus, Ohio. And for most of my adult life, I believed I had everything a woman could want. I met Daniel when I was 24 years old. He walked into the marketing firm where I worked, confident, well-dressed, with this warm smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. We dated for 2 years, got engaged, and by the time I was 27, I was walking down the aisle toward the man I thought was my forever. We built a beautiful life together. A house with a wraparound porch. 2 dogs. A daughter named Lily, who is now 12 years old and the absolute light of my world. Daniel worked in logistics, which meant travel, sometimes 3 or 4 days a week. But that was just our normal. That was just our life. I never questioned it. Why would I? He always called. He always came home with flowers or little gifts for Lily. He coached her soccer team when he was in town. He held my hand at church on Sundays. He was, by every measure I had, a good husband and a devoted father. But here's the thing about a lie that's been carefully maintained for years, it starts to leave cracks. It started small, innocent, almost. About 2 years ago, Daniel switched to a new phone carrier. He said it had better coverage for his travel routes. Fine, totally reasonable. But one evening, while he was in the shower, his old phone, which he'd never fully cleared out, lit up with a notification. I wasn't snooping. I want to make that clear. I was just walking past the nightstand. But the name on the screen stopped me cold. From home. I stood there for a second. Home? His contact for me was Sandy. Had been since college. So, whose home was this? I told myself it was probably work. A client. A colleague. I told myself a lot of things that night. But the seed was planted. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing things I'd somehow trained myself to overlook. The way he sometimes paused before answering simple questions, like, "How was your trip?" Just half a beat too long. The way he'd occasionally slip and say, "we," when talking about something he supposedly did alone. How he never, not once in 14 years, invited me to visit him on the road. One afternoon in March, I was doing laundry and found a receipt in the pocket of his travel jacket. It was from a grocery store. Not unusual, except it was dated on a Tuesday, the same Tuesday he'd told me he was stuck in a hotel in Pittsburgh due to a storm delay. The receipt was from a store in Dayton, Ohio. I sat down on the laundry room floor and just breathed. I didn't confront him, not yet. I needed to know the full truth before I said a single word. So I did something I never imagined I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Carl, retired police officer, very calm, very professional. I handed him Daniel's license plate, his work schedule, and the receipt. And I waited. 2 weeks later, Carl called me. His voice was careful, measured, the kind of voice someone uses when they're about to change your life. "Sandra," he said, "I think you need to come in and see this in person." I remember sitting in Carl's office on a gray Thursday morning, my hands folded in my lap, trying to breathe normally. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were photographs. Daniel, at a house in Dayton. Mowing a lawn. Playing in the backyard with 2 young boys. Standing on a porch with a woman, dark hair, probably mid-30s, and he was kissing her on the cheek like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like he did with me. Carl cleared his throat softly. "Her name is Michelle. They've been together for approximately 9 years. The boys are 7 and 5. And Sandra," he paused, "they're legally married." The room went silent. Or maybe it was just me that went silent. 9 years. While I was raising our daughter, decorating our home, planning our anniversary trips, he had a second wife. 2 more children. An entire parallel life. The logistics job was real. But the travel was him commuting between 2 families. 2 houses. 2 women who had no idea the other existed. I drove home in a daze. I don't fully remember the drive. I just remember walking into our kitchen, seeing Lily's drawings on the refrigerator, and completely breaking down. That night, when Daniel came home, I waited until Lily was asleep. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and placed Carl's folder directly in front of him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I had already cried everything out. I just said, "I know." The color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, closed it. For a long moment, the man who had looked me in the eyes every single day for 14 years, had absolutely nothing to say. Then came the excuses, the blame, the minimizing. He said it just happened. He said he never meant to hurt anyone. He said he loved both of us. I stood up, picked up my phone, and called my sister. Come get Lily, I said. Right now. Daniel was out of our home within 48 hours. What followed was one of the most brutal and bewildering legal processes of my life. Because bigamy, being legally married to two people at once, is actually a felony in Ohio. Daniel faced criminal charges. He lost his job. Michelle, his other wife, filed for annulment the moment she found out. 2 women, 3 children, 1 man who had systematically lied to everyone who ever trusted him. My divorce was finalized 11 months later. I was awarded the house, primary custody of Lily, and full child support. Daniel is currently serving a suspended sentence and is on probation. As for me, I won't lie to you. The healing has been slow. Some days are really, really hard. But I am still standing. Lily is in therapy and doing remarkably well. And I have rebuilt more than I thought possible from what felt like absolute ruin. If there is anything I want you to take from my story, it's this. First, trust your instincts. That quiet, nagging feeling you brush off as paranoia? It deserves your attention, not obsession, just honesty with yourself. Second, a person's consistency is not the same as their character. Daniel was consistently present, consistently charming, consistently loving. But none of that made him trustworthy. Real character is who someone is when no one is watching. And third, your life does not end when a betrayal is revealed. It only feels that way. What actually ends is the lie. And there is a strange, painful freedom in finally knowing the truth. If this story moved you, shook you, or made you feel something, please hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Subscribe to Betrayal Shadows and turn on notifications, because every week, we bring you real stories of betrayal, survival, and the strength it takes to start over. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Drop the words, "I see you, Sandra," if her story hit home. Or tell me, what would you have done in that moment at the kitchen table? The truth always finds its way to the surface. Always. We'll see you in the next one.